Today, we're going to be rating some of the coolest cars on YouTube. Anywhere from Westin Diesel to Adam LZ to you name it. If this is your first time tuning in, I want to thank you, and I want to let you know that usually I'm not making in-office content. I like to get out and talk to entrepreneurs slash business owners that have cool cars. You can see some of my previous videos if you kind of want to know what it kind of looks like. But weather has not been good here in Missouri, so yeah, we're here. So let's get into the video. So the first person that's notable that is someone that I watch a lot is a person who likes to destroy things, has a really good taste in supercars though, as much as some people may not know about him. But the first person's car that we're going to be rating is none other than Westin Diesel. Now Westin Diesel has a variety of vehicles. But there's two specifically that I want to go over today. And starting with this first one that I think is such a sick car is this Ferrari SF90. Now in a previous video when I talked about the Ferrari Purosangue, I said that no man should let Westin Diesel buy a Ferrari. But he has proven throughout some of his videos and on his social media, like on Instagram, that he does take care of some of his cars more than others. One being his SF90. His SF90 986 horsepower twin turbo V8 hybrid. It's an insane car. Looks like a Batmobile, as he says. I want to give it a quick rating. I think this car stands out above most YouTubers' cars. Not that it's anything crazy and different, but you get a lot of underhype from the SF90 because it is a hybrid V8. So to go ahead and rate this, I'm gonna give SF90 the Batmobile, as Westin Diesel calls it. Let's give it a 9. I think it's a good, clean car, respectable, and he's taking care of it. It sounds good. Another car of his that I want to mention is none other than the Alcolo branded 458 GT Ferrari. Now, this car is neat because it's all wrapped out, it's wide-bodied, it's bagged, and it just looks like a monster. But more than anything, it's cool because it represents his brand that a lot of people may not know of if they don't watch Westin Diesel consistently. But he owns an alcohol brand that I just think it's cool. He's got a cool logo. The wrap looks good. It looks super solid. And I want to give this car a rating, let's say 8. I think it's a super sick car, but personally, I think Ferrari should not be bagged. I think you shouldn't mess with them except for like wheels, exhaust, tunes, things like that. But also, where's my Ferrari? The next person on this list is kind of similar to a Westin Diesel type, but rather than breaking a lot of things, he likes to build interesting things. He's a guy that's from Winfield, Kansas. It's only about 2 hours away from me, where I currently live. Westin Champlin. You know, the dude is super sick. He is a burnout freak. He loves the burnouts. Just held the burnout rodeo a couple weeks ago. But if you don't know Westin Champlin, the first car that I want to rate is the car that gets the most noticeability in the general public. It's a muscle car, but it's not a muscle car. It tows school buses for fun. Has an engine you may or may not know called the 12-valve 5.9 Cummins. Yeah, Cummins in a S550 Mustang. crazy. I think it's such a sick car. It's not a supercar, it's not super fancy, but it's crazy to see the way this car performs, and that honestly it just doesn't compare to anything. It's got a huge big hood stack in the front, big massive turbo, and overall he managed to keep the car looking pretty good when all said and done put together. On this car, I think just because it's so unique, it looks good, and honestly I just respect the build itself, because I imagine it was crazy hard to put that all together. I'm gonna give it a 9.5. The other car that comes to mind that I think is a really cool car, it's not necessarily my personal taste, but it is a cool car that Westin has, is none other than his purple Demon 170 Challenger. Now, if you don't know what a Demon 170 is, it's basically a Hellcat that took a bunch of meth. This car is so insane, does crazy numbers. If I remember right, I think it makes 1,025 horsepower from the factory, which is mind-blowing, right? When you see this car, it's kind of sleeper. You kind of think like it's just a wide-body Hellcat or whatever, you know. It might make 700 horsepower, which is still a crazy amount of horsepower, but you got to think how heavy these things are. But it is kind of sleeper because, 1,000 horsepower and you don't suspect it unless you know what you're looking at is insane. So on this car specifically, like I said, not my taste, but it is still a super cool car. I'm gonna rate this car a 7. I think that's respectable because it's not my taste, but it is a cool car, and some people it is the car that they would dream to have or whatever, you know, slide meets or whatever. Our third person that I'm gonna talk about on this list is someone who has a cool story of coming up and at one point was homeless, and now he is driving some of the craziest supercars. If you're real big into supercars and hypercars, you probably know this guy, and it's none other than Stradman. Now, Stradman has a list of cars that we could rate for hours and hours just like this on its own separate video, and maybe I do that in the future. But for today, I think I'm just going to stick with 2 of his cars that I personally find really good looking. But the car that I want to start with today is none other than Stradman's Koenigsegg Agera SHH. Now, this car is super sick to the right person, kind of like the Demon 170. It is a very niche. You've got to respect it because it is a one-on-one car. It's pink, so girls might like it. It's really sick. I don't know a whole lot about Koenigsegg's because that's so far above my plans for my life. But I know that these cars are 5-liter twin-turbo V8s that are pushing out a whopping 1,100 horsepower. So regardless if you like them, they're fast. So either way, it sounds good, looks good, and drives crazy. I'm gonna go ahead and give this car a similar rating to the Demon, but because it is a higher end car, you have to give it a little more respect. I'm going to rate this car a 7.5. I think is a fair, just because not my car, not my taste. I'm not super into hypercars. I like supercars, but not hypercars as much, I should say. I do think some of the cars are cool. But yeah, 7.5 for the Koenigsegg Agera SHH. Now, the next car on our list is also another Stradman car, but it's not one that is new. It's not a muscle car. It's not anything like any of the cars that we've previously listed. The car that I want to talk about now is Stradman's 1987 Lamborghini Countach. It's a very cool, unique car that you're not going to see on the streets like you might see, say, like a Huracan or a Challenger or a Ferrari. You only see these every so once in a while, unless sometimes you may see them as a kit car. But this car is just so neat. It's got a V12 engine in it, which for 1987 is pretty insane in my opinion. But anyways, rating this car, I think it's similar to like rating the Smokestang. It's just such a unique car that I think I'm gonna go with a 9 on this, because I think it's a very respectable car. A lot of people know it. If you were a kid in the 90s, you probably had a poster of it up in your room, and that's all I have to say about it. Very unique car, definitely a very unique car. The last person on this list that I want to mention is someone that I've watched for a long time. I'm not going to say that I personally am a like super fan or whatever, but I have watched him here and there and kind of grown up watching what he did with his YouTube, and he lived kind of a similar life to how I have lived my life. Starting out in BMX, he did a lot of BMX YouTube videos, and now he's big into the drift scene. So the next person is none other than Adam LZ. Now if you watch Adam LZ, you know that he has an abundance of different cars, but there's two here, just like the other three guys I've done. There's two that I'm gonna name that I think are very interesting. And so to start out, I think this car is insane and doesn't get enough recognition. Maybe it does in the drift world, but in the public knowledge world, I don't think it gets enough flack. Is that the word? I think that's the right word.
Flack.
That was the right word. Because it is a wide body slammed C4 Corvette, with the coolest part of this being that it has a R33 R34 GTR engine. You might know it, the RB25, not a LT4 or whatever came in the car. I don't know that right off the top of my head. I think C4 Corvettes came with an LT4. But it's interesting because they've swapped this engine in, put a lot of time into it. It looks outstanding. I don't know if it's wrapped or painted, but just a good looking car overall. I want to give this car a rating kind of similar to the Smokestang as far as like respecting it being built. It looks good. It all turned out nice. I'm going to say on a C4, I'm going to go with a 7.5. I think it's above average, but it's nothing crazy. I mean, you see a lot of guys swapping 2JZs, RB, stuff like that. So, but it is cool to see a muscle car that has now got a Japanese inline-six turbo engine. So regardless, that's pretty cool. And the last Adam LZ car that I want to talk about is one that I think is insane. It looks good. The wrap looks good. You might have recognized it if you watch FD. It's the car that he used. It's none other than his E36 that's 2JZ swapped. This car is insane. I mean, he can drive the piss out of this car. And I don't even watch drifting, and I know that. I mean, 1,000 horsepower is, to some people, is baby numbers whenever it comes to a 2JZ, but I think it is insane. So to rate this car, I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to say 8.5. 8.5 on this because he's got it so specced out, so nice, looks clean. It's not a clapped out junker drift car. 8.5 is my final score. And I know that I said this was going to be the last one, but real quick, I want to do some rapid fire honorable mentions that I want to add that I think are really cool cars. So off the bat, we've got Danny Duncan's Miata. He just got this thing. It's so gay, but it looks cool. Let's go 7 on it, just because it's Danny Duncan. Usually doesn't buy cool cars or anything, which, not that it's a cool car, but it's an iconic car, so whatever. Another car that I wanted to add was Artist Fast, his R35 GTR. This thing's insane. It's got crazy purple wheels on it. 2,000 horsepower. How can you go wrong with this thing? It's so ridiculously crazy. And I mean, he's beating like crazy like S1000 RRs. I think that's what it's called. I'm not a bike guy. I think that's what the BMWs are called. But anyways, he's beating bikes all day long, which is insane in a car like that. Another R35 GTR that I think is more on the nostalgic side is Tanner Fox's Guaczilla, and I'm not 100% sure if he still has this or not, but regardless, he did have it, and it was nostalgic to me growing up because that's kind of a car I looked at that was super cool whenever I was slowly transitioning from BMX to cars. Anyways, you don't need to hear about all that. But anyways, I want to rate this car. I'm going to say I rate this car probably a 7.5. Like I said, above average, but you know, it is a green car. But then again, so was the C4 Corvette. So 7.5. That's my final number. Take it or leave it. And lastly, the last car that I'm going to mention in this video, someone I've been watching for a while. He's had a pretty cool come up, and his name is Kyle. Now you might know Kyle for building Hondas. He is the owner of the Boosted Boys YouTube channel. The car that I want to mention is the Honda Routacy, as he calls it. This is a K-Series turbo all-wheel drive swapped Honda Odyssey from the 90s, I think. It's insane. One of my favorite cars to watch on YouTube. I could watch it over and over and over and still fall in love with this car. As far as looks go, it's a minivan, so it's not crazy. So to close this out, I want to rate the Routacy, let's say probably an 8.5, just because it's so iconic and I love to look at the car and hear the car. It sounds insane, but 8.5. If you haven't already, make sure to give this video a like and comment if you made it this far. We'll see what the retention rate is on this video after we get to the bottom, but make sure you subscribe, and I promise we will have more better content coming out soon. And yeah, gonna try and do an event coming up in the next couple months, hopefully. Stay tuned for that. I'm coming out with merchandise. I've got it ordered. I am going to do a proof on it to make sure that I like it before I tell people to buy it. And yeah, stay tuned for all of that. And until next time, keep loving cars and keep loving business. Bye-bye.